Tonight on CFTK-TV News, the Terrace RCMP released a C-STEP program update. John Rustad wants a decision to be made on a bombshell lead claim. And a report looks at what BC's harm reduction drug policies have done for survivors.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cael Maslin, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. The Terrace RCMP recently released more results that detailed how C-STEP funding had been benefiting them since their last update on the matter. 2 months into the funding program's implementation, the Terrace RCMP have made 76 additional arrests outside their normal shift hours, while also laying 17 additional charges. Items that have been seized from offending individuals in those arrests include weapons such as bear spray, daggers, throwing knives, a homemade shield, and drugs like contraband tobacco, fentanyl, cocaine, and illicit pharmaceuticals. The second month also saw 3 repeat offenders get referred to services like Northern Health and the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction in order to make sure that they got the help that they needed. Terrace's RCMP have also posted yet another report that details incidents that they had to deal with as the month of August begins to wind down. The main theme of the incidents this time was that multiple Ford pickup trucks were seemingly targets of theft. One 2008 Ford F-250 that was unlocked was said to be damaged around its ignition while parked on the 4800 block of Hallowell Avenue. Several other Ford F-250s received similar damage, and a couple of them were actually stolen, although they were able to be found, but with damage as well. Terrace's RCMP are using this multitude of similar cases to remind people to always make sure that their vehicles are always secure while removing all of their valuable items out of it. BC's opposition leader wants Canada's top court to quickly decide whether Aboriginal title overrides private property rights. It comes after a bombshell land claim ruling that gives the Cowichan Nation title to a large parcel of land in Richmond. As CTV's Rob Buffum reports, the Conservative leader argues that decision has created uncertainty.
More fallout from a major court case. The BC Conservatives sending this letter to the Federal Attorney General asking him to get the Supreme Court of Canada to weigh in with a so-called reference, answering whether Aboriginal title and private property rights can coexist, and if so, what that means for homeowners.
Cowichan court case has left private property rights in limbo in British Columbia. It has created a huge problem for people, whether it's for the retirement, for sale homes, or whether it's for investment. We need clarity.
In the landmark case, the court found the 2 rights did coexist and that there was Aboriginal title over a swath of land in Richmond with private property, including businesses and homes. The province quickly announced that it was appealing the decision.
The ruling could have significant unintended consequences for fee simple private property rights in BC, and that must be reconsidered.
But for now, the case has left many wondering what it means for their property.
I mean, it's a little concerning down the road as to it kind of sets the precedence of what could happen, but I see both sides, but it is a little scary.
You just always assume when you've bought something that it's yours.
First Nations do have claims to the land where they were here before us.
Rustad says the court process expected to wind through BC's Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court of Canada needs to be short-circuited to avoid a chilling effect on investment.
And we need that clarity quickly. We can't be waiting years through the appeal process.
BC's Attorney General doesn't support a reference to the highest court at this point, given the appeal is going ahead and a reference could muddy that.
It's the wrong time and the wrong method in my view. Right now we have what is an 800-page decision.
The federal housing minister was asked about the idea Wednesday.
Even more important that we don't have fear-mongering and speculation. We need to leave this to the courts to make that decision. So I'm certainly supportive of next steps in the courts to clarify that as soon as possible.
Coming up next, BC is set to get some new car chargers for electric vehicles. Welcome back. Every day, 5 people die in BC from toxic drugs. A number of studies confirm that harm reduction works to keep users alive. Still, the efforts repeatedly come under attack. In part 3 of her series, CTV's Penny Daflos looks at what those policies have done for survivors.
The pricey offices of downtown Vancouver show no sign of the toxic drug crisis or addiction because successful careers make it easier to hide.
Kind of really living a double life, in the boardroom one morning, working with a client, media training them, or working with them on a strategy, and then on the downtown east side, later that day.
Rachel Thexton went to treatment several times before the business owner was prescribed Suboxone. The opioid substitute satisfies cravings without the high.
A mixture of that harm reduction with therapy really changed things for me.
Harm reduction is shorthand for policies aimed at illicit drug users consuming an unpredictable stew of chemicals.
People we know who are dying at home alone.
There are clean needles and free Narcan. A few thousand British Columbians are prescribed safer supply drugs that must now be witnessed by a health professional. For those finding their own street drugs, dozens of temporary overdose prevention sites are overseen by health authorities and staffed by peer support workers equipped with the overdose antidote naloxone. A handful have prompted complaints and even lawsuits.
Crime, human feces, just disorder, yelling, people, in distress.
There are also long-term government-run and funded facilities.
We've been really able to kind of evolve the model that we started here at Insight.
Insight was North America's first supervised consumption site in 2003 and brought down overdose rates until fentanyl arrived.
The problem is not just in the downtown east side now, it's in other neighborhoods of Vancouver, other parts of BC, and the crisis around mental health and around addictions also intersects with the crisis around affordability, housing.
Some parents find themselves on opposite sides of the issue after the death of a child.
Why is that the one drug in our system that's supposed to be safe supply?
Representing loss to some and life-saving measures for others.
People have become more afraid of harm reduction.
If Narcan wasn't available, if Insight, if overdose prevention sites weren't there, and I wasn't safe when I had relapsed those times, my kids wouldn't have a mom.
In light of the public health emergency, many police leaders, healthcare practitioners, and elected officials stand behind policies that keep people alive until they're ready for treatment. In the next installment of this series, we look at a new era of recovery in BC that starts with one phone call. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
Neighbors residing near a BC ostrich farm that's attracted international attention say they're living in turmoil. The farm owners are fighting against an avian flu call, but some of the neighbors are farmers and they're worried about their livestock. As CTV's Isabella Zavarisi reports, they say there's been little support from elected officials.
An 8-month battle to save these birds has transformed the small town of Edgewood in the West Kootenay. The outcry has drawn protesters from across BC and garnered international scrutiny. But despite the attention, those who live here say they've been ignored and hope it all ends soon.
The valley is in quite a turmoil.
In December, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency issued a cull order after birds at the Universal Ostrich Farm tested positive for avian flu. A few dozen birds died, but the farm says close to 400 survived. Since then, the owners have fought to save the birds, claiming they are not sick.
We should not be having to put up with this, but here we are.
Neighbors and farmers say they're concerned with how long this has gone on for. Cattle farmers located in a quarantine zone worry this could impact their livestock.
So when fall comes and we ship our cattle to market, is that going to be a factor in the price that we get for our cattle?
Residents say they've had little support from elected officials. They've reached out to local MP Scott Anderson, but feel he's sided with the farm.
He is not representing the voice of our community, the voice of the people that put him in Ottawa. And I think he's either blind to that or he doesn't care.
The farm lost its federal court appeal last week.
I think that this is the correct decision to make. I think it's the legally consistent decision to make.
On Wednesday, the MP issued a lengthy statement saying in part, while he respects the decision, he's disappointed with the CFIA's stubborn refusal to allow testing or consider alternatives. All of the neighbors feel the issue has been co-opted.
It's become very political, and the birds are just a non-issue right now.
Universal Ostrich says it disagrees, adding the real concern is that the CFIA refuses to test the birds. The farm believes locals should be contacting the agency and asking for better policy and outbreak response that puts the public's mind at ease. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
Finding a place to charge your electric car is set to get a little easier in BC, with Ottawa announcing plans to fund nearly 500 new chargers. But as CTV's Martin McMahon reports, it comes at a time when EV sales are actually dropping.
Not too long ago, electric cars seemed like something from science fiction. And while we now see them all around us, government pauses to rebates have them doing a disappearing act when it comes to sales.
The most recent data was announced last week by StatsCan for the month of June in British Columbia. About 13.2% of all new vehicle sales were electric. That's about half of what that mandate for the 26 model year says it's supposed to be. And the numbers have been dropping ever since last year.
But that's not stopping the feds from announcing a plan to fund 480 new charging ports around BC.
These charging stations are also about that peace of mind to address range anxiety, to make sure everyone knows they can get where they need to go.
The announcement comes at a time when the car industry has its own anxiety about a federal mandate requiring 20% of new vehicles sold to be fully electric by 2026. Rising to 100% by 2035.
The charging infrastructure announcement today is terrific, but you're still missing, a key piece of the program, which is the rebates. While at the same time, industry and consumers are sort of saddled with this, unchanged zero-emission vehicle mandates at both levels.
The government's announcement comes after a poll commissioned by a resource industry advocacy group found 56% of respondents oppose mandates on EV sales.
And so comparing the results, we see that the gap between those who oppose mandates and those who support them has grown by 7 points in 1 year. A clear majority of British Columbians oppose these electric vehicle mandates.
The province's goal is to have 1,000 public charging ports in place by 2027. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
And now we take a look at both your nightly and weekly weather forecast. On the north coast, tonight expects to see a few clouds and a low of 12 degrees. And as for the rest of the week, it'll start sunny before going all cloudy and rainy the rest of the way, with the high only shifting slightly between 18 and 17 degrees. In the Terrace Kitimat area, the conditions for tonight are expected to be clear with a low of 14 degrees, and the weekly forecast also expects to start off sunny before going into a rainy day and then seeing mixed conditions the rest of the time, and the high will likely move from 29 to 22 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, the night should see clear conditions too, but with a low down at 6 degrees. And as for the upcoming week, it's expected to be pretty much all sun with no other alternatives, and a high moving from 31 to 28 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. Highway 16 has construction work, bridge maintenance, utility work, shoulder maintenance, road maintenance work, and paving operations. Highway 37 has bridge construction and construction work planned. Highway 37A is still dealing with falling rocks between west of Mizziatin and east of Stewart and paving operations. And the Nishka Highway has some crack sealing and road construction work. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, Simon Fraser University is looking to take a big step into the future. Welcome back. The owner of a downtown Eastside restaurant is speaking out after he tried to help a vulnerable 12-year-old girl who was alone in the notoriously rough neighborhood. As CTV's Ben Milger reports, Vancouver police briefly spoke with the child before simply letting her walk away.
The streets of the downtown east side are no place for an unsupervised 12-year-old. Pigeon restaurant owner Brandon Grossuti noticed a girl spending time near his Carroll Street business for a few days. When he talked to her, he suspected she was possibly high on drugs.
She had talked about being in the neighborhood, and it was obvious that she was under the influence of things. And then there was other people in the neighborhood that anecdotally talked about some of the interactions that had happened.
He's referring to rumors the girl had been sexually assaulted twice while on the streets.
I'm trying to stay calm, but at the same time, I'm just like, I need to protect this girl and get her out of here right away.
Grossuti first tried contacting the Ministry of Children and Family Development, but fearing that would take too long, he called police. He says officers spoke to the child, made a phone call, and then just let her walk away down Carroll Street and onto East Hastings. According to VPD, there are specific criteria for officers to apprehend a child, such as when they're in immediate danger. The VPD says staff at the girls' group home told police they knew where she was and she was in regular contact with them. In a statement, the Ministry of Children and Family Development says when a child in care is absent from the home environment, caregivers and social workers are tasked with working in the best interest of the child, which often involves continuous risk assessment, difficult decision-making, and navigating complex factors related to the child's life circumstances.
You know, when we have someone as vulnerable as a 12-year-old in the neighborhood and we're throwing our hands up, this is broken, and we need to really look at how we're approaching the situation holistically.
SFU is potentially taking a big step into the future this fall. A professor is being joined by a 3D artificial intelligence sidekick to teach students. CTV's Craig Krause was given a lesson on the one-of-a-kind technology and how the professor is hoping it paves the way for a better AI literacy.
Back to school for post-secondary students is nearly here. And this fall at Simon Fraser University, some students are going to be taught by a new professor of sorts.
You're an advanced technology that was made in my research lab, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Meet Kia. It was developed by Professor Steve DiPaolo at the School of Interactive Arts and Technology and will teach alongside him.
What are we going to be teaching in the class?
In the class, we'll cover a range of exciting topics, including the history of AI, machine learning concepts, neural networks, generative models, and the ethical implications of AI on society.
Ethics, that DiPaolo says will be a key focus of the course.
Anthropomorphic design raises important ethical questions about representation and its influence, and I'm excited to address those in class.
Dubbed a world first, inspiring the next generation of researchers to create other uses.
Advocating for a group.
Master's student Charlotte Ho is developing a program that could change how people negotiate with their employer.
My current research is on helping or empowering women to improve their salary negotiation skills with using AI talking characters.
Prompting it with characteristics of the boss and how to react and push for higher pay. A new era where AI appears to be impacting everyday life, leaving the question to be asked.
Are you concerned with the rapid evolution of AI?
Yes, and I surely, in Canada, we have a lot of organizations I'm going to Ottawa and other places a lot to really understand how we can keep it in check and make sure it's used for good and not for bad.
Craig Crow, CTV News, Surrey.
A look at some recent numbers from CIBC Capital Markets paints a rather unfortunate picture when it comes to unemployment rates for teens and young adults. CTV's Adrian Gobriel explains further.
CIBC Capital Markets has shared that unemployment for those aged 15 to 24 has increased by more than 5.5% since 2022. The average uptick in youth unemployment during a recession typically has been around 4%.
It is unusual to see this level of youth unemployment when the economy is not in an outright recession, and it seemed to have started before the economy really slowed. Part of it is tied to AI, artificial intelligence, taking out some routine jobs that entry-level workers did, and part of it is other technologies, fewer jobs for young people working in a store, manning the checkout counter.
Though employment centers say a decline in retail stores has also meant less jobs, and U.S. tariffs have resulted in some small businesses putting a freeze on new hires.
We are seeing about a 20% increase in youth coming in to see us. We haven't seen this kind of desperation in a lot of years. I mean, they have, in some cases, sent in hundreds and hundreds of resumes, not getting any callbacks. So it's a more, as I say, more desperate time that we don't usually see except in times of recession.
Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
And now we turn our attention to how the stock markets are looking as of today compared to yesterday. The Canadian dollar is up 35/10 of a cent, the price of gold is up $25.70, oil is up 45 cents, natural gas is up 10 cents, aluminum is up $5. In Toronto, the TSX is up 1.80 points, the Venture Index is up 4.15, and in New York, the Dow Jones is up 71.67 points, and Nasdaq is up 115.02. Still ahead, a new Vancouver tourist attraction is getting a lot of praise. Welcome back. One of Vancouver's latest tourist attractions is getting rave reviews on Google Maps. In fact, visitors are calling the experience solid with excellent on-site support. CTV's Sinjin Alexander now with a grand tour of Benchy McBenchface.
Told there may be a wait, but the long, hot walk to the middle of the Granville Street Bridge would be so worth it, we went. And there it was, surrounded by loud traffic and a bike lane, a bench to nowhere, totally ignored by everyone walking by, except for Michael Nemersky, who couldn't believe his luck.
No, I'm going to try it out right now.
Okay.
It's not too hot.
Somehow, with all the rave reviews on Google Maps, he got immediate seating on this 4.9 rated attraction. Sorry, you two, you're just going to have to wait. Michael, how is it? Best bench on the Granville Bridge, hands down, reads one review. Great place for speed dating, writes Petrie.
My eye line goes right at the rail, so I can't see anything. So, if you've got a couple of cushions.
Like the barge and Dude Chilling Park, it's so popular there's a push for a new moniker, Granville Bridge Benchy McBenchface.
Well, I have to admit that I was kind of wondering why it's here.
A lot of people were. But wait, there's more. Perhaps due to overwhelming demand, Benchy has brothers. Yes, the bridge now has a bunch of benches.
Yeah, I mean, the view is really nice. And I'm supposed to do this, right? Take a selfie? This is what all the kids do, right? Take it.
The city of Vancouver says it's all part of bigger plans for the crossing, and this is just the beginning.
Contours to your body, your back.
How long did you have to wait today?
10 minutes, I guess.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Worth it, though?
Yeah, I guess so.
With these kinds of endorsements, there's no time to sit pretty. Capture it all before the tour buses roll in. Sinjin Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
Mounties in Chilliwack say they arrested a 15-year-old for illegally using bear spray, which is classified as a prohibited weapon when used against people. RCMP say officers responded to 3 bear spray incidents over a few hours between Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning. They say the first incident occurred at Central Park, where a 14-year-old required emergency medical assistance after being sprayed, while another person was sprayed in a group altercation near Sardis Secondary School. After that incident, police say officers arrested a 15-year-old suspect who was found to be breaching court-imposed conditions prohibiting possession of weapons and held in custody for a court appearance. That's all our news for now. From everyone here at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.